Primus was that song scared me as a kid. It was just so uncomfortable to
Yeah,
hear.
it had like a weird like boinky doinky to it. I had heard Primus before the Tony Hawk, just from like, you know, much music and watching like Much Loud and stuff. So it's like I was already versed with Primus going into the game, but I hadn't heard bands like Unsane prior to that, and it's like, oh, this is like a crazy heavy band.
And it's like super early, like well done post-hardcore.
Yeah.
Like way before like a lot of bands started doing that.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's very much more in like the bass guitar department. It's all low end, it's chunk. It's like, you know, all the really gross sounding parts of hardcore. It's it's a band that I've liked a lot. You know, they've obviously influenced a lot of bands over the years as well.
Yeah, it was weird because when we were doing the review, which is going to come out, I kept saying it reminded me of the Refused, and then Phill gave me the context that they came before, like Refused or Fucking Dead or whatever that. Oh my god, I'm forgetting the name of the album right now. It's unbelievable. Such an important album.
Refused or Fucking Dead? Is that not the name of the album?
That's the live album, isn't it?
Shit. No, well, I mean, they have songs of Fan the Flames of Discontent. That's one of them.
Yeah, no, the album after that with like New Noise and stuff.
I don't know
the name.
I don't know how I'm also blanking on the
Okay, good. I thought I was losing some pretty basic cred.
I've got one of those brains that will just blank on names of records.
I know, and it's the worst when you're filming a video because like I've watched like videos where I'm like, you don't know the name of that album, you idiot. It's like now I've been in that situation where I'm like, I don't know why I forgot that.
100%. Now it's killing me. What that record is called.
I could look, but I feel like that doesn't feel nearly as satisfying. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, Refused or Fucking Dead is a song on the record. Yeah, that's for sure.
What is it? This is blowing my mind because it's an album I like even just reference on the channel so consistently.
Oh well, we don't need to dwell into this.
No,
what happened
although
to
we
Phill?
I'm finding out. He said his laptop crashed. What's up, Bandecfolks? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are sitting down with Shae Alexander of Terminator. Shae, why don't you introduce yourself for anyone who might be watching who doesn't know who you are?
Hi, I'm Shae. I sing in the group Terminator. I don't know. I've been around Niagara for a long time. Here we are.
Legend around. I would say a straight up hardcore legend around Niagara at this point, in all honesty. And
I mean, like I don't know, like who we have is like fucking legendary. But like at this point, I feel like there's like one or two people who are like older than me at this point. Like like Chris O'Toole still comes around.
Okay,
but like beyond that, like I'm now like the oldest person here.
Well, that's so interesting too because like we're definitely gonna get into it, but like you released like what sounds like such a passionate project too. Like your project sounds so young, and then I think I randomly saw you playing like filling in on guitar. At
the only other time I've ever played guitar in a band, I played for Windock.
Oh, you play? Oh, okay.
I played guitar for Windock at a show about a year ago. That was like my first time playing a guitar live.
Like live at a show?
Years and years ago, I played bass for Demolition at a show.
Okay.
But like that was like that was like I really had no idea what I was doing then. Yeah, by the time I did the Windock thing, I could play their songs at least. How the music comes off as young, it probably has to do with where my playing ability is at and where I am as a stringed instrument player. Because I've really not been playing the guitar for very long at all.
Right.
It's all pretty new to me. I've been drumming in bands for years and years and years. You know, I've been buying and selling guitars for a very long time. So I think people have had the impression that like I've been like a guitarist because like I've like always like owned cool stuff. But it's been mostly just for like selling and trading. It wasn't until this band that I really was like, okay, I own a guitar. I want to learn how to play it. And actually write some music with it. So everything that I'm writing right now, this is my first shot at actually being the songwriter.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't wasted anything yet. You know, I haven't grown playing music on guitar and, you know, writing music in that type of way. I've just been keeping the beat in bins. So it's very different, I think, for me than, like, you know, someone who's been playing guitar already for 20 years. It's like, I'm going to start another band in my 30s. It's like, they've already maybe done this type of thing, I guess. Whereas, like, you know, I got to start at kind of the basics. I can't play like anything technical. I'm playing hardcore music. And it's also just the type of music I like.
Right, but I think the passion translates then, though, right? Because, like, it's not even just the passion in like the fact that it's hardcore music and it has this like message that's important to you, but you're writing riffs for the first time. You're like, oh, that's a sick riff, and like there's that passion involved too, and you're writing your own music fully for the first time, so you're getting the satisfaction of being like a solo artist more or less too, and that sort of, again, passion is going to bleed into the project in like a very unspoken and almost like ethereal way, right? It's like it's a vibe more than like a quantifiable thing.
I don't disagree with you. I can get, I don't know. I can get very into what the things that I do. I guess, you know, I've got like attention deficit disorder. I can get hyper focused, and it's like when I have like a project, you know, I can just get very, you know, focused on that. So the last 2 years of my life doing this band, it's just been like any time where I can touch the guitar, I try to touch the guitar.
Right. It's a good attitude to have. Yeah.
And, you know, cause like I've had a lot of riffs in my head for a very long time, you know, just because I'm a musical person. So it's like, you know, I've had like little things that like I've been humming in my head for years and years that like I've just never told a band like, hey, maybe we should do something like this. It's all just stuff that I've just been kind of sitting on, and now I'm learning how to play the guitar, and it's starting to now come out of my fingers rather than just be stuck up here. And that's it's a really cool feeling to be learning a new skill and also be able to be very creative with it. And like, especially because I was a drummer for so long, it's like I have a very percussive and rhythmic knowledge of what I want to do with things. I think that's what a lot of novice musicians would struggle more with, is the percussive and rhythmic side of the game. So it's like, because I already had that in, you know, the guitar is coming pretty naturally, and it's been a lot of fun to work with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really shows, because the album, like, again, it's full. We'll get into some specifics on the album, but it's full. It's angry. It's definitely like it's got some like wrath involved in it, but I feel like there's like a big strong vibe of like fun in there. And I think that your vocal performance too, and like and I'll get into this a little bit deeper later, but like the growth between what I heard on the demo, which sounds so safe in comparison to just how gross you were willing to get on the album with your vocal delivery, to me just translated like is like, oh, like this is fun for them too. Like this is like they're hearing some of those like vocal inflections and riffs come out and just like having that like fuck yeah moment after you're like getting it all assembled.
Absolutely. I wish I had been able to take more time with the vocals. Because I did a lot of the tracking for this myself. It's like I recorded the drums, and you know, I went to Vince Salveri at a Boxcar. I recorded the drums there. Vince did a mix on the drums and sent it to me, and then I started, you know, just tracking it all myself, just at home through an interface I have. But like I'm using a very like old and basic computer that's not built for recording. I'm recording I'm recording into GarageBand.
Okay.
Which, like, you know, I don't know any professional engineers that are using that. You know, it's like it's baby mode. But I've just been reading and watching a lot of YouTube videos. It's like ultimately it's been about keeping the cost down.
Of
At
course.
the end of the day, is like, you know, tracking a whole album and having it mixed by a professional rightfully costs a lot of money because it takes a lot of fucking time to do. And it like, you know, it's something that like, if you have that sort of expertise, you should charge for it. But yeah, it's, I wanted to do a full length record and that's not cheap to do. So it came down to, I'm just going to try to do most of this myself. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos with other, you know, professionals talking about the general steps that they take when they do something. And I just kind of approximated, you know, okay, set a limiter, you know, do this, do that, do this, and just kind of followed the advice of people who have done it before. And I think everything has kind of turned out pretty good for my first real go at a mix on record.
No, it sounds really good. I like the leaning into like the dungeonous sort of like reverbed out. I think it really fits the style that you're doing because it gives it this like nice muddiness all over it.
I feel like I sidetracked a little bit into like a little bit more answer about like recording the record versus like the actual vocal production. But as I was getting to, it's like I use such a low end computer that's like I was limited with how much I could track before the computer was like stop. I would hit record and it's like stop. So it's like I would get like 2 words out and like they would sound good and then the computer would stop. It's like,
oh my God, that's so frustrating.
And it's like, I'm now just like piecemealing the records. Like I'm having like mute a bunch of tracks to like start adding more. And it just got to the point where like, I was like, okay, the record's done. It wasn't done. Like I'm doing another mix of it right now just for fun and for like learning purposes.
Okay.
Just to kind of familiarize myself because like I said, this is my first project. I rushed all into doing it and it got to a point where it's like, okay, this sounds good. I wouldn't be like, I'd sent it to a few people. They heard it and they're like, this sounds good. It's like, okay, I wouldn't be embarrassed for the world to hear this. I'll just put it out and cool.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm getting the saying right, but like there's a idea with mixing that like like an album is never finished. You just eventually stop working on it and put it out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you could toil on certain things forever. Like there's going to be endless things where like I will listen back to it and I'll think like that should have maybe been a little bit more up. That should have maybe been more down. I want this. I wish that little whisper in the background went more like, you know, it's like all these like little things that like I would have liked to have gotten into. And like in the future, I kind of intend to get more into. Because like you said, on the demo, it was, I absolutely played a more safe delivery. I think just because like, I want to say a lot of things I feel I'm doing vocally like are like silly, but I feel it's a little bit more than certain bands would do. Most bands just go in and like, I'm just going to track the vocals, just one straight track of vocals. You know, there might be a gang vocal in the chorus. Okay, that's done. Whereas like, I like listening to records that have a lot of depth and a lot of little Easter eggs, you know. I like just hearing just like, oh, on the third bar in that verse when they said where, it went where, you know, and it's like little things like that. I live for that shit when I listen to records. Mm-hmm. So it's like I want to have that in my own stuff.
Yeah, I'm very like-minded. My favorite like parts of music are typically like these tiny little nuances in the song that like just give it much more character to me, right? It's why I've always like gravitated towards hardcore and stuff like that, in the sense that like it can be like a slightly monotonous feeling genre to a degree sometimes, because there's only so many two-step riffs that exist and stuff like that. But like there's just something about like drum fills and properly placed vocal layers and properly placed like gang vocals and stuff that just like appeals to something in my brain. Like I love like just those little moments. Like drum fills are probably like my favorite parts of songs. Absolutely. It's just like little sick ass drum fills just make me so happy. So in case we didn't say the name of the record in this conversation yet, we're talking about your record Identity.
Yes.
Recorded basically entirely in your apartment except for the drums.
Yeah.
Vocals as well, which we were just talking about. So I'll get into the vocals a bit. Like I was saying before, you definitely got a little nasty with it. You got a little gross with it, which I really appreciated. The reference point that I
went to the hospital one day recording vocals.
Because what song?
It was like the first day that I went and it was like, okay, I'm like gonna start tracking these, and I'm doing so many takes because it's like I'll do a bar and then I'll go back and do it again. I typically will layer each bar 4 times, and just like I pick apart each like little thing, and also it's like I want to have certain words maybe just stay, so it's like I will do each bar 4 times. So it's like I'm yelling this whole, it's the record's 23 minutes long. There's a pretty good amount of vocals on it, and like I was just going.
It's a lot,
and I started to get like a really bad fucking like headache, and then I felt like I was gonna vomit.
Okay.
And, like I was like I'm gonna throw up. I gotta go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I didn't end up vomiting, but I was like heaving. It was like pretty crazy, and like the headache I had was just like nuts. I Google like when you have a headache mixed with nausea, it's known as what could be a thunderclap headache, and if it happens, you should go to the hospital because you may have like actually blown something in your head.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like an aneurysm.
Oh yeah, I think it's like something not too far from that. So it's like I went to the hospital to get checked out for that. It's like because like I had never felt that fucked up before from like yelling, because like I've sang in bands previously in my life, but it's like that's the first time I was like, oh fuck, like I did something bad to myself.
I went a little too hard.
Yeah, so I guess that goes to say like I didn't hold back in any way when recording. I think a lot of people will rely on just making like a cool voice and like just amplifying it,
right.
When you listen back to like like someone like Lemmy, like Lemmy's not yelling at all. Lemmy's just going and they just turn him up real loud. And like a lot of guys are
just saturated a bit.
Yeah, just a lot of singers do just go like whoa, and then just turn it up. And it's like okay, whereas like I just yell hard. Probably not the best thing to do long term. That's it. It's after having tracked the record, it's become a lot easier to do it. Like when we perform live now, I'm able to sing just kind of through the whole set a lot easier versus like just kind of getting a little bit winded. My throat just starts to give out. So
yeah,
but I'm all about just go 100 on it.
Yeah, I think some people would be surprised. Even in like really like extreme like metal bands and stuff, if you could hear the raw audio tracks without the music around it, I think people would be surprised at what it actually sounds like a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot like the distortion on the guitars and stuff do a lot with a vocal in a way that I don't think people necessarily understand. So
yeah.
But yeah, I loved your vocal delivery on here. The band reference that I was getting a lot was Pulling Teeth.
That's not a band that I ever listened to.
So like, they're so good. They're so good.
Yeah, they're like a band that I was very familiar with who they were. They were just like at the time that they were out. I want to say I was like checked out of hardcore a bit, but like I was getting very much more at that time in my life into like more crust bands, more like heavy sludge stuff. I think it's like when Ceremony came out, Ceremony was cool, but then when all these other bands started doing the Ceremony thing, I just got, I don't know, I got really disinterested in hardcore for a little bit. I didn't really like trash talk, bands like that.
That's fair. Yeah.
And I don't know, I want to say a lot of the Death Wish bands, because like I like a lot of Death Wish bands, but yeah, just certain, I guess like the Black Jeans hardcore really, really started taking over, and it's like, and all the Black Jeans hardcore was just like really, to me, a lot of it very weak versions of just like metal stuff that existed. So it's like, I'll just listen to the actual metal bands that these bands are kind of irking, they're taking from. And, that's kind of where I went for a little while.
Yeah. You know what? It might be an unpopular opinion, but I think there was a time with Death Wish, like the Oathbreaker days, where it felt like there was a lot of reverence being paid to bands that I think you're right, just kind of sounded like black metal bands. And it was like, no, but you don't understand. These are hardcore guys. And it's like, oh, cool. they're playing atmospheric black metal. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Yeah. I guess I definitely remember that. And I definitely have dipped in and out of the genre too. I wasn't nearly as involved, especially in my late 20s and 30s in terms of actually being in bands and I was more observing anyways. But for a while, there were a few years where I don't think I listened to any new hardcore. I was listening to SoundCloud rap and shit like that. So I was also an alcoholic. So my life was pretty interesting back then. But yeah, in the last few years, it was really nice to move back to St. Catharines. I went to a Comeback Kids show at Warehouse, and it was I think Wildside played. I
remember that gig.
I remember being at that show, and it was a bunch of dudes my age, and there was straight up no one moshing. Literally not a soul at a Comeback Kids show. And I was just oh, wow. I was I guess this is just what it is now. And so I didn't go to another hardcore show for a year. And now, once I started doing the channel with Phill, I started really paying attention and going out to shows at the Knack and the Green to start with and stuff like that. And just seeing that the hardcore scene down here, especially in Niagara, is super alive and super well right now. I can't.
It's popping up a lot lately.
I'm seeing young kids at shows, just young people moshing. It feels so nice to see.
Oh, the kids coming out now are they're getting very young. It's reminding me more and more of when I first started going to shows. When I was, I was probably about 13 or 14 years old. Would have been 2002 or so. And it's I was just a skateboarder that liked anything that wasn't mainstream, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was same vibe.
It's I knew what hardcore music was through Punkorama comps. It's I knew who Madball was or Agnostic Front and shit like that. But it's I liked everything at that time that was just counterculture. And so when I started going to shows, it's I didn't have an identity as I'm a hardcore person. I was just some kid wearing a funny hat, I got pins. I'm just into weird stuff. And that's what I'm seeing a lot more now is swaths of kids are coming out who they're not necessarily here for hardcore bands. They're here for music bands. They want loud, angry, weird music.
That's
bands.
A good way of putting it. Yeah.
So it's cause a lot of these kids, they're not coming out in Youth of Today shirts and even Trapped Under Ice shirts. It's these are kids coming out in face paint and fishnets and a lot of just they're just into alternative stuff and they're figuring out what exactly they really like. And it's cool seeing the scene kind of being reborn and all these kids are now meeting each other, and I'm interested to see what kind of bands they start forming. It's I feel the bands around here so long have been kind of a group of people. I feel there's a couple groups of people that do bands together, and it's the same people just kind of doing the same bands with the same people. It's been very incestuous in that type of way, where it's just these people work together, these people work together, these people work together. Here's their new band, here's their new band, here's their new band. And it's just been kind of that for years. Whereas now I'm finally seeing new kids showing up. But I don't know if how many of them play instruments. So I'm hoping that,
but it should inspire them too, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is, right? It's you pick up the guitar because you finally saw someone being sick with it. And you're oh, I want to do that. Or it's been really, really nice because you're there and you're even watching these newer kids, watching people two-stepping and then
they go outside and they practice in there between songs.
And they're like going in there and figuring it out for the first time. Like they're not like
I remember their first mosh is so fun.
And it's so liberating because I remember the fear when I was a kid of being like, oh, if I two-step and look like a jackass, like it's over for me.
100%.
Like I gotta practice. I gotta make sure this looks good before I get in there. These kids just go in, open heart, open mind, just like, well, I'm gonna go do what that guy's doing because he looks like he's having fun. I love that.
I literally, the first time I moshed, I lost a bunch of friends. Because when I first started going to shows, I was going with skateboarders. So it's like all my friends at the time were skateboarders who liked, you know, like just kind of punk music more so. You know, they liked stuff that we heard on like the CKY soundtracks. Right. You know, anything the stuff that we heard in skateboard videos. That, you know, but they were like skateboarders and punks, and we started going to shows, and like immediately, like I was gravitating towards the heavier bands. It's like, you know, the first show I saw had like Jude the Obscure, Mary's Bleeding Eyes, Alexis on Fire, Hopes Fall, and Love Lost But Not Forgotten on it. Like that was at the NAC. And it's like I was immediately into like the heavier stuff. And like I saw people moshing at shows. There was only a couple people who moshed back then, and like the whole circle would like close up, and then someone would just go in and do this. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this person doing? That's crazy. And I remember finally, for like my first year going to shows, I did not mosh. Like I just like, you know, I'd push, you know, we do the push pitting,
the push pitch,
shit like that. Yeah. But like occasionally someone would mosh and be like, oh, that's fucking crazy. And then finally, I saw it was Roses Dead played at the Red Square, and they played that song Marcelo Cabrera is a Crook. That song's got a crazy pit in it, and that was the first time I was just like, okay, I'm gonna fucking swing my arms. And I remember my friends were like, that was so dumb, like, and like very quickly afterwards, like I stopped hanging out with them, and my like friends started moving towards like who was in the hardcore music, and you know. Once I started, you know, just like I'm gonna go to the shows and fucking like dance and like mosh around and shit. It changed, you know, who I was hanging out with and like what I wanted to do. And I think just like since doing that, it's almost just become all I've done for about fucking a lot of years.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was a kid, I had a very similar trajectory. Except for by the time I started going to shows, I was already kind of dressing like a scene kid. So I was like fully into hardcore.
How old are you? Just asking.
I'm 37.
Okay, so you and I are actually the same age. So yeah, I mean, like I could understand because like we're seeing ultimately like scene styles became hip. It's like, you know, we started getting Hot Topics like that shit. Like West 49 started carrying more scenester looking like clothing.
Yeah.
It's like the fashion trends for a little while, it became more mainstream. So it's like, I could see how you could have that familiarity with it. You just going in at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I was relatively distant from it. Like, I'm pretty sure like I probably went to like a couple shows and saw like the hair or whatever. Or actually, you know what's really embarrassing? And I just realized, dude, it was Avenged Sevenfold. It was Avenged Sevenfold, and I was like, oh, that's the coolest you could possibly look.
I got the fringe bangs. They're pretty neat looking. I couldn't fault someone for being like, that's my shit. That band got huge because like obviously they got a look that's like remarkable for like, you know, a type.
Yeah, I just remembered it was for sure Avenged Sevenfold is why I look like that. Because I'm pretty sure I got into them. And then my friend, like, I was really into like Avenged Sevenfold, but also like Nirvana and Silverchair and like grunge stuff. It was a very interesting cross contamination that was happening with me.
Yeah.
And then my friend just started bringing me to like see like the Snips and like A Day in a Death Wish and Murder Thy Maker, like that era of like Niagara hardcore, I guess.
That is RCHC.
Well, and I love that's the thing.
I think that's a very specific thing. When you talk about like Niagara, I think Welland was very much like its own standout place, and they had.
It was hard to even quantify the sound of it sonically. Like it felt like Welland music.
100%, because like all the bands seem to have the exact same influences, but each band took like one of those influences more seriously. So it's like all the bands seem to be like, they all seemed like Death by Stereo, Metallica, Iron Maiden, fucking Saves the Day. I think was like a huge like band for like Welland people. Hatebreed. And like all like if you take all those bands and so you take little parts of each one of those bands, it's like you lean towards the Hatebreed, you have A Day and a Death Wish. You lean towards the Iron Maiden, it's like you have Murder Thy Maker. It's like you have like certain things that's like all these bands kind of seem to all like the same shit, but they were just a little bit like different in their own way. Like none of them sounded the same. The Snips didn't sound like Dead Only Better. Murder Thy Maker didn't sound like In These Walls. They were,
exactly.
But they all it was
Well, no, and it was super interesting because like back then too, like before, like there was kind of like a blueprint on how to write like metalcore, and even like hardcore has gone through like stages where like a band like Trapped Under Ice comes in and like influences the genre to change.
Yeah.
But back in the early 2000s, it really felt like even with hardcore for the most part, like everyone was still figuring it out. And it all just kind of felt like this like MySpace, like I couldn't tell you the difference back then between a band like Acacia Strain and a band like Comeback Kid. I just knew they were both heavy and I liked them. And like it's so funny to look back on that and understand how completely different those two bands are.
I think it's because at that time, it's like we were really reaching a peak of the genre itself. It's like, because like hardcore has been very like ebbs and flows, and it's like in the early 2000s was the last time that's like major industry had interest in hardcore. You know, it's like bands like Jimmy Eat World and Poison the Well were getting like major deals. It's like this was the first time that the major labels were like, oh, this is like a thing that's going on. Like, let's see if we can kind of do something
marketable. Yeah.
So it's like we had screaming music on TV. It's like, you know, it's, I don't think that had ever happened like up until the early 2000s. So it's like by that point, I think there was just so many people exposed to the genre that you're going to get so many different takes on it. It became such like a worldly thing for the first time at that point, and that's why I think the bands that you say at the time were so varied. But then as, you know, tastes change, everything kind of peters down a little bit. You know, certain people grow out of it. Eventually, you know, some band comes that's the new tastemaker. It's, you know, the wash cycle happens over again. It's like, you know, Rival Mob and Trapped Under Ice both happened around the same time. And that kind of took hardcore in its two new directions. And it's been kind of now just regrowing from that again.
Well, and even Turnstile's influence.
Yep.
Was massive, which is funny, like to have like consistent members like that, like have genre defining bands happen twice.
I think I want to say personally, it's like I don't even feel Turnstile has been as influential as something like Trapped Under Ice, because ultimately I think, you know, Turnstile's most popular material is a little bit rooted in the Trapped Under Ice sound.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I think that they just I think they had more of an impact on a band's vibe than the actual sonic experience. Like bands just felt a little goofier. Like the vocal, the lyrics in Turnstile always feel like Crystal Mommy lyrics to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very like, it's about like energy and like,
I think also just beyond that, it's like Brendan was the drummer of Trapped Under Ice. And it's like, that is the rhythm. So it's like the person who was creating the rhythm of Trapped Under Ice is inherently writing these songs as well. I know he's not the drummer of
but Turnstile's such a rhythmic. The best parts of Turnstile albums are when they add in additional drum layers and stuff. Yep. Like on Glow On and on Time and Space, like the best parts of those albums are when they're adding in like weird off the cuff percussion stuff into it. You know that a big part of that is that they have two really good drummers in the band essentially. So but
I think that
I don't even.
What I was getting at though is I think right now, like, Knocked Loose is what kids like. That's what's bringing kids in, like to like hardcore music. Like that's, you know, I think the band that's really like a lot of kids seem to be coming from is just like hearing really heavy shit.
Yeah,
like heavy shit is just kind of like taken over and like become like very, very oversaturated.
I think when I was a kid, that's kind of what got me too. Like, it was like when deathcore started to happen, I kind of had this idea in my head where I was like, this is heavier than all the other heavy music I listen to. So this must be the best heavy music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Where it's like, you can be all sorts of types of heavy. But I do feel there is a fundamental difference in the wave that we came in on versus the wave that's coming in now. We came in on a genre that I think was still very much rooted in punk.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it's like like you said, you're about to do the Tony Hawk soundtracks. It's like we were from a culture that's like punk music, that type of thing was really popular at the time. That's like what was on, Blink-182's on the radio, Sum 41's on the radio,
Yeah.
All these bands are like what is just in the mainstream. So it's like the average drummer at that time could hear that beat and shit. And it's like they're more familiar with that punk base of hardcore. Whereas now kids coming in are more just familiar with the metal style of drumming. And there's, certain chops. The drumming is getting a lot different now.
Yeah, I've always found that and there's some bands now that are starting to change my opinion in like the metal genre, but I think the evolution of drummers over the last 20 to 30 years is absurd. Like how where drummers are at now compared to like 20 years ago, like in every genre. Like drums have just become such a more interesting thing than they've ever been.
Yeah, the internet in general, it's like the internet really like blew up in the early 2000s. And it's like with the internet blowing up, that finally connected everyone and everything. So it's like no longer do certain regional things stay regional. No longer does this one little drummer who's in this place, who just drums in their closet, stay in their, stay hidden somewhere. It's like they're on YouTube now. Everyone can hear everything from all over the globe. And it's like people who are playing in different parts of the world where it's like percussion is just inherently different. They're going to grow up with different senses of groove and rhythm. And it's like when you start hearing drummers from other places and it all starts to blend, you start getting all these little influences, and that just changes the whole nuance of everything.
Yeah. It's been super like, again, as someone who's never been a drummer, it's hard for me to necessarily quantify. I just know that when I hear like, one of my best examples, and it's kind of stupid, is when I think about how the Cancer Bats can just take a bunch of Black Sabbath songs and make the drums better, and they turn those songs into pitters, total pitters, just by changing the drums.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Lots of Black Sabbath songs, if you were to put them just more downbeat or a little more upbeat, they become a completely different type of thing. Whereas, Bill Ward, to me, is like the best bad drummer of all time. Like when you listen to like early Black Sabbath records, it's like so many fills sound like he's in the fucking red, but he never like falls off the beat. But it's like always just like, oh, that feels just a little bit too, but he always lands it. It's like Bill Ward was just like the master of like being a little like very fucking loose, but always just having it. Whereas if you put in, someone like Mike from Cancer Bats, like that's like a rock, hard hitting rock drummer. You start putting all those songs on just like straight 4/4s, they become very different things.
When I think about old drums, like especially 70s drums, my way of describing it is it always sounds like they've been mixed so politely.
Yeah.
Like there's like so little impact. They're like tinny and it like sounds like they're like scared to get in the way of the rest of the song.
Yeah.
And now drums are like so heavy and so dense now, and like snare tones become like such an important staple in like, again, so many genres now. So it's nice to see like light really getting shined on something that did seem more as just like the rhythm section 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I would argue a band like Reality Denied, I always say Matt's the lead instrument in that band.
Yep.
Like the drums are the lead instrument in that band.
Because as far as I know, Matt's writing I think Matt writes a good portion of it. So it's like,
his drums sound crazy.
When the drummer writes the music, I think that helps everything. And I mean, like, I think that helps my band as well, because I'm a drummer at the end, first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I have just that rhythmic understanding. I know how I want certain things patterned. It's like, as I write guitar, I'm thinking of the drums. It's like, I'm not just playing guitar. It's like I'm humming drums in my head all the time.
Right.
So it's all built in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, with any other drummer that would start trying to write their own music, you're going to typically have that advantage.
You would assume. Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone does it to a degree too, but when you don't have the actual skills, it's like this, like, it's less, again, it's more of like an ethereal thought in your head where you're like, you're writing a riff and you're kind of hearing a drum, but you're not hearing like exactly what the snare is doing, exactly what the kick's doing.
Yeah.
So with Terminator, like, how long has the idea of this like band been around? Like, how was it something you thought about doing for like years and years and years? Was it one of those names that you sat on for a long time and you were like, oh, one day I'm gonna like do this project and it's gonna be called Terminator and it's gonna be sick? Or was it something that just as soon as you got the idea you started writing?
The long answer to that is around 2015 or so. I took like my first try at like, I had some guitar shit. I was like, okay, I've got guitar stuff. I guess I'm going to try to write some songs. So I wrote about 4 or 5 songs back then. And I was going to do the band, I had a couple people I was going to do a band with. I wrote 4 or 5 songs. One of them was Little Man. So
yeah, I love that song.
Which like Bo actually wrote that riff, because we had that band back then called Pedestrian X, and we were writing some music, and like we were just kind of like thinking like, we want to write the dumbest riff we can write, and Bo just played like, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty fucking dumb.
It's so good though.
Yeah, I just got that riff stuck in my head, so it's like, because I had a guitar, I went home that night, and because it was just 3 fucking notes, it's like,
right,
okay. And then I just went back up to the one note, went to the other, went down. I was like, okay. And I just I put together a song off of it. I was like, okay, that's a song. I just like wrote 2 other, or like, like I said, I wrote 5 total. One was like a heavy fucking sludge thing, which actually ended up becoming Beyond Extreme.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a heavy sludge version of that. About 2 years ago, I ended up stepping away from Wildside, and I knew like I wanted to do another band. So I hit up, Jamie and Bo and Will, and we were gonna do I just talked about like, let's fucking get Pedestrian X back together, like do something with that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
We can revisit some of those songs, write some new songs, etc. But also around that time, Will was starting BFD.
Right.
So it's like Will had already started a band where it's like he was singing, because I was gonna probably Will sing in Pedestrian X. So it's like it didn't make sense to have like Will singing in 2 bands at the same time. So it's like, all right, maybe Will just won't be in this one. This will just be me, Jamie, and Bo. I asked Ray, Ray Rees from Studio Shop. I asked Ray about singing in the band. I wanted them to sing. And I have a demo with them on it, and I love it.
Oh, that's sick.
But it just didn't end up lining up with them. I asked another friend of mine out. They came, and it's like, they sounded great, but with their voice, it was like, if it's going to be another voice, kind of, I guess like a masculine voice on it, I may as well just do it for logistical reasons. The person I brought in was like from Toronto. So it's like, rather than having them come down from Toronto every so often to jam, it's like, I'll just sing in the band, I guess. And so, but I want to play guitar, so I'm like, I guess I'm going to play guitar and sing.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, fuck, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brain could never get it.
100%. I can do it now. Like, when we jam, like, I can play the guitar and sing it, because like I've now done the songs enough that like they're kind of just in my head and in my hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, like our first year as a band, all our live performances are so bad. Which, like, I don't think that's really what counts. Like, I think it's the effort and the fucking energy and etc.
For sure.
But like our performances, like how we played, like I couldn't fucking play for shit. I'm up there just like struggling through these songs. Like, thank God we had like another guitarist. But we played a couple shows where I just played guitar. It was just one guitar and fucking bass. And like, goddamn, pretty rough. But yeah, to kind of answer the question, it's like yes, so the idea was planted a long time. Like, I've always wanted to do a band where I was writing the songs. It wasn't until I stepped away from Wildside where it's like, okay, now might be the time, especially just other life circumstances. Like, I ended up just like living on my own for a bit, which gave me the confidence to like play the guitar and like suck. Cause like I was living with like people for like years. So it's like when I first got guitar stuff, it's like, I want to just be like sitting in the house and be like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Be annoying. So I just didn't do it. It's like, I could play drums. I'm fine. I'll just play my drums and like, you know, that's good. I didn't want to challenge myself or like others around me with me playing guitar. And like, thankfully now it's like my partner is, you know, very supportive of my guitar playing and like puts up with me just fiddling around on it all fucking day. So they're very thankful for that. But yeah, it's really the guitar playing came out of just like, I wanted to write songs, so I had to learn the guitar to do it.
Right. That's such a that's something I've heard so much from talking to people now too, where it's like I wanted, like, I had this idea for a band and I just could never really get the idea to work with like whoever I worked with and stuff. So I just realized I have to learn how to do this all myself.
Yeah. And that's where I think that being the drummer also comes in, is like, I can write the drum. I can do every part. It's like, once I learned how to play the strings, it's like, I can do every part. I have a voice. My arms can play the drums. My hands can play the guitar. Cool.
Yeah, it must be so satisfying. It's been interesting to sort of watch a bit of an evolution with you. Just looking at you from the outside in as someone who like wasn't like a close friend with you or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I noticed the first time that you were like very involved with like being like charitable was Boss Pizza.
Yep.
Where I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like they're doing this like really just incredibly like nice thing, like in terms of like this project they're doing, right? And then I started seeing more of your like activism or like just being more outspoken about like the Palestinian genocide. And obviously you've become very, very loud and present in terms of talking about like trans rights and like LGBTQ rights and stuff like that. So like as comfortable as you are with it, would you be comfortable talking about your journey with that? Because
100%.
And please don't take this offensively, but I when I looked, not that I look back on you with any sort of like indistinction of I would know which way you would lean certain ways, but I just felt like I looked back on a certain group of people from the hardcore scene, and I guess I wouldn't have expected you to be this like outspoken activist, and it made me extremely happy to like see how like passionate you were about things like this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it took a long time for like, I guess my brain to crack open. And, cause yeah, you know, I feel like you're parsing words of it. It's like my friends and I growing up, like we were fucking like jerks. Like we were just like, we were fucking pricks. You know, we kept to ourselves. We were the fucking straight edge people. You know, we all had fucking holier than thou fucking attitudes. And I was very, very closed off to so many things for a very, very long time. And the road just keeps getting more and more narrow when you live like that. And when you are always just setting these walls of like, I don't like this. I don't do that. I'm not this way. Eventually got to the point where like I was just a very fucking unhappy person from, you know, years and years of just, I don't know. It'd take forever to just fucking talk about all the shit I've had to unpack about myself. But ultimately it's like, I wasn't living how I needed to be living. And I think stopping being a straight edge person was the biggest thing for me. was
you heard it here first, folks.
100%. Stop being straight edge.
I love that. Got it out.
Well, like, yes and no. If I am very, very thankful that I was a straight edge person for. I was straight edge for 18 years. From I was about 14 or 15 years old up until I was 33 years old. I did not smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't fucking do any of that shit.
It's good for your brain.
And 100%, because like I know I've got a personality that wants to grab everything. And if I like something, I fixate and I grab. And it's like, if I would have had the exposure to doing drugs or drinking when I was younger, I think I would very likely be not alive right now. Just knowing who I am and how compulsive I can get with certain things. So it's like, if I would have gone into, smoking pot with like an immature brain, I would have been like, oh, fuck, this is great. What's next? What's next?
Oh, for sure.
Whereas, having grown up, having seen addiction in my family, the way that I've seen it and how it has affected, number of members of my family, put my father in a grave, etc. I have a brain that tells me only go so far. So it's like, once I started smoking pot, like I said, that really, really fucking just changed my worldview. Like once I started smoking pot, it's like I immediately could start looking at things very differently. Like,
okay.
I feel like I became instantly like less judgmental about everything. Like I said, like once I just dropped like the I'm straight edge and I'm fucking rigid, like in this type of way. Once I dropped that about myself, I feel that was a huge fucking layer that came off me. And it's like, I can be vulnerable. I can, I can like things, I can fucking, etc. And then over the next year, it's like, I spent a lot of time just, I guess, working on myself, working on mental health, saw therapists, etc. I also started doing a bit of mushrooms.
Oh, hell yeah.
Once I started doing a bit of mushrooms, first time I took the mushrooms, I had like the fucking ego death, which was like a very fucking, that's like, I don't know, if you just want to like humble yourself out and fucking, in any real way, recommended. If you want to like, if you want to learn what's been like bugging you and you want to learn it really intimately, that'll be the way to do it. So, took that, had that happen. That ultimately, though, it ended up being a pretty good experience. And after taking them a couple more times, I eventually came to the conclusion, it's like, oh, I am not straight. Okay. And I've been fucking suppressing this since I was a fucking child. And it all makes sense now why it's like I would watch like the fucking Undertaker put like Ultimate Warrior in the casket and I'd get a boner. It's like all these like little fucking cues throughout my life. It's like, oh yeah, like I'm not a fucking straight person for sure. But it's like,
yeah, well, that's brutal. Be like, and especially not even necessarily be aware that you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah. And once I had that thought, it just like was like, oh fuck. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I just, the last few years in my own personal journey of just figuring out who I am and accepting myself has just made me feel more accepting of so many other things in the world, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's really just been like a journey of like self-acceptance. And it's like, once you have that, I think you just, you become empathetic. You see things differently. It becomes a lot harder to ignore everything else. I don't know. Just certain, like you said, it's like things that I've been charitable or like loud about. It's like, I don't know. everything is just at a screeching point, I guess, in my life, where it's like, fuck, all this shit's like fucked, and I should have been doing or saying something about things sooner, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't beat yourself up about that, like, either, right? It's and I mean, even culturally now, things
I
seem
feel like
to
I'm
be
rambling a lot, and I'm sorry.
No, it's great. This is a really good conversation, and I'm happy to have it with you, and I'm glad that you feel like comfortable in this environment, because again, I can only imagine, especially through like years of like trying to suppress those sort of feelings and stuff like that. I always try to be aware in my life of like the idea that like just because I'm a well-meaning, intentioned person doesn't mean everyone's going to inherently know that about me. You know what I mean? You really have to kind of be careful, unfortunately, who you're vulnerable with. And nowadays, like it's kind of normal for people to just like have a problem with trans people, with LGBTQ at this point, where it just bled directly into that. Like there's a lot of repressive politics happening right now, and it's getting popular. And like me and you exist in the hardcore scene, and now there's even this like weird niche belief that like no, being conservative is actually more punk.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's like some people who have like a mindset like that, but I feel like that's always existed, you know.
Yeah, I think it's just people who there were, again, it's a part of growing up for me with hardcore, because one thing I took from hardcore so much was like lyrics about like being accepting and like, you know, like having value in yourself and pride in yourself, and like even certain albums that I've really enjoyed, like Census Fails, is Pull the Thorns from Your Heart, which is just about like learning to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like those lyrics always really stuck with me. And then I had to learn that when I got older, like some dudes just like this music because they get to punch people to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not there for the same reason as me. So you have to, like, there's this weird subsect now where it's like, I think there's people who just, for them, hardcore is just counterculture, period.
Yeah.
It's not what it's about.
It's fuck around punching music, which like, inherently at the end of the day, like, that's kind of what it is to me in a way, but like, I don't know. I just think inherently, like, if you're not an empathetic person at all, it's like you can like hardcore music, but you're not going to actually just like care about anything. You're just going to be there for just like stupid, selfish reasons. I think it's like, it's just certain personality types always exist. There's always been people who are just there to serve themselves and, you know, do their own narcissistic thing, versus, you know, those who are there for the sincere like community and what they can give to it and what, you know, what they get out of it, etc.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that even people's perceptions of what is counterculture can be so different, right? Because there's people who think that like being rude to trans people is somehow somehow that's sticking it to the man. Like we're very lost.
Yeah, and you know, it's fucked up. You know, the things you read, the things you hear people say. It's like, thankfully, it's like because we all live within our own like little fucking bubbles. Like, I don't thankfully have to see a lot of that. In my day to day. But it's like, you know, you go to work and you just like you hear people say certain things like casually. Yep. You hear like how people make certain remarks about certain things casually. You're just like, have you thought about this ever? You know.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people are not comfortable having conversations about it. It's just fucking weird to them. And like, it's sad. But like I said, a lot of people are very fucking closed. And, you know, I think it's until you are open with yourself and accepting of yourself, it makes it very hard to fucking accept others, especially those who are living as themselves. Like people who have made the choice to be like, I'm not going to run from who I am and I'm going to be. It's like people who are fucking internally, you know, jealous of that. I think a lot of the time people are jealous. That's an
insecure person's worst enemy.
Yes. 100%. People are jealous of those who are comfortable with who they are. And, you know, I think a lot of people are repressing a lot of things. You know, typically the most outspoken people about certain things are fucking, you know, repressing certain shit. Like how many fucking major anti-pedo fucking people are getting busted in like major pedophilia rings? It's because, you know, it's the classic push the attention away. It's like if I'm so strongly against this, you'd never assume that I actually maybe have weird feelings inside myself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really well said. And it is unfortunate that like that unfortunately it feels like trans people in particular too have just kind of been like they're now the poster children for this culture war for the next few years. You know what I mean? It's just and like it's really unfortunate.
It's all a fucking, it all ties back to those who do not breed traditionally, especially, you know, in the States. You're seeing, it's like fundamentally, it's like if we're not, you know, living within God and reproducing for God, but ultimately those who choose not to just create more bodies to create workforce for their countries.
No, you're actually exactly right.
That is the big thing, is like capitalists hate those who are not going to breed more little fucking piggies for their farm.
You're disrupting the cattle. Yeah. You're disrupting the labor force.
100%. Because
you've now become useless to us. What, we're going to pay you when you're old? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And it's like, it comes, you know, abortion rights, etc. It's all a fight to keep people from having choice over their own destiny, over, you know, their own bodies. They want more and more bodies. They want to create worse and worse conditions to create a fucking army of people who are going to have no choice but to fucking work in the slop factories when everything fucking comes crumbling down. And
no, but the real problem is that there's some trans kid who might play volleyball in a state I don't live in.
Yeah. And it's like inherently, it's like I know these people don't have a fucking problem with that. They've just been trained to fucking think they do. You know what?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's and I try. It's a tough tightrope to walk. The understanding that like, oh, these people have been brainwashed, but it's also kind of fucked them sometimes, right? Because it is tough, and and obviously it's the talking heads and like
because
the purveyors of it.
The information counter to how they feel is out there. And, you know, the information, you know, validating trans identities is out there. But it's like, because everyone lives in a fucking bubble and because everyone fucking lives only a certain way, it's like, if all your family and friends, if you grew up in a certain county and all your family and friends go to the same church and believe the same fucking shit, it's like,
oh, for sure.
Everything is built to create a wall between you and the rest of the world. You know, community is not encouraged unless it's, you know, very insular fucking communities. You know, they don't want to fucking have people connected in any sort of way, because if everyone was more connected, everyone would start to see how similar we all really are and how we all really want the same fucking things out of life. And, you know, it's not because someone doesn't want to be called, you know, dude or man, that's like, you know, shit's not gonna happen for them. It's because of the ones who are fucking making the laws that, you know, just want to just have a fucking workforce of people who are enslaved to them.
Complacent.
Yes.
Thank you for the lashings.
Yes.
Yeah. And really well said.
That's why the people who lean that way are so heavily rewarded. You know, people like podcasters, influencers, etc. They get rewarded so hard over there because that's where the money is. That's where all the capitalists is. That's anyone who's going to preach traditional capitalist values, you know, is going to be rewarded for that. So it's like they get all the propped up. They get the money from YouTube. They get the money from all the fucking algorithms to get their message out louder, 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 louder.
Yep.
It's like there's more and more money being put into it. And by certain people who just have absolutely disgusting, you know, ideals and, you know, what they want to get out of the world. And it's not good for just about any of us.
Yeah. Back when I was still drinking really heavily, I lived in Mississauga for a bit, and I lived a very like isolated life up there, basically by myself, just like trashed every day, like super, super drunk. And I got pulled into that like right-wing YouTube rabbit hole, and I used to straight up just watch people like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and like Candace Owens and stuff. Yeah. And
it targets lonely people.
Well, and that's the one thing I can say
because
for
you're
sure,
a lone wolf.
That
you're a lone wolf. Yeah. You're strong. You stay.
When I felt my most isolated and when I felt my saddest, that stuff worked on me. And then I quit drinking, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, like things are like fine. I stopped feeling bad for myself.
100%.
You know what I mean? And I just started to realize that like I had all this strife in my life that I was creating with my own addiction. And it was so easy for someone to come in and be like, no, this strife you're feeling, it's because of this, or it's because of this. It's because of this thing happening in culture. So I see how people slip into this stuff. It straight up happened to me when I was at my most vulnerable in that way.
Yeah, it offers you fucking easy answers and explanations for why things are the way they are. It's just
and there's no accountability. It's not my fault.
100%. It teaches no accountability. It teaches just fucking. It's someone else's fault. It's someone from fucking El Salvador's fault. It's someone from fucking Palestine's fault. It's some trans person's fault that your life is shit. It's just like, no, it's just like maybe because you're just fucking drinking all the time, your life's bad. It's
straight up.
Maybe you stop doing that.
So I do have to ask you before I let you go.
Yep.
What's the statute of limitations on stuff like this? Can you speak on the Get Loose graffiti scandal?
Oh yeah, I mean we were just my friends and I were just like little dickheads who wanted to just go out and just like do something fucking stupid. Like that's literally all there was to it. Was like,
can you explain like to like the audience who might not know like how picked up this situation became, where it was in like the news and like the newspapers?
Yeah, just I don't know, like my friend and I it was pretty much over the span of a weekend. Like a friend of mine had come down to visit. We got a bunch of cans of spray paint from fucking Walmart. We're like, let's just fucking drive around and spray paint on everything we see. And we did it. It's just like, we just spray painted the word Get Loose, which is like the fucking band I played in years ago. We just like, no thought to it at all. Just Get Loose was the first thing that got written. It's like, okay, cool. And we just wrote that fucking, the band wasn't even a band anymore. Like the band, like it wasn't like we were like promoting the band or some shit. The band was like broken up. It was literally childish vandalism as fucking children. And like it was stupid. I regret having done it. I look at like certain graffiti around town now, and I'm like, those fuckers. But the thing is, because I've done it, it's like I understand why it happens.
So funny. Did they? I remember, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I remember them thinking like there was like imminent danger coming to the city.
Yeah, the city, because we had written GYS, which like was grab your skate or whatever. So it's like we wrote grab your skate on like one like pillar somewhere, but then a bunch of our spots we also just wrote GYS. So they're like, is this a gang? Like they're like, what? I remember there was like an article in the paper about it. I was like, what is getting loose? Like asking like so fucking some philosophical question. They came, and then eventually like people like fucking emailed them, and like I don't know, us at the time we were like stupid enough to like just like talk to the paper about it. So like the newspaper came to like fucking like Kyle Payton and I, and we're like,
terrorist organization Get Loose.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, tell us what you know about this. And like I don't know why we talked to them, because we're fucking dumb. And like it was like, yeah, we don't know much about it. It's like obviously we did, and then eventually ended up getting fucking arrested. And then
you got fully arrested for it?
Oh yeah, we got like fucking. I got arrested twice over Get Loose, because we like also at the time it's like I was like staying in Toronto a bit, and we did it around like the Etobicoke area a bunch, and like all down like Queen, and it's like it was kind of all over the place in Toronto as well for a bit. So I got arrested in St. Catharines, and then I also got like arrested in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got arrested by Toronto police and charged with a bunch of shit in Toronto. I also got arrested by St. Catharines police, charged by a bunch of shit in St. Catharines. Then,
oh man.
Yeah, I got arrested on like a fucking weekend. I had like, or like a Friday, or more so. I think it was like I got arrested on a Thursday night, and they told my, like, you know, me that, like, oh, they would tell my family or someone that, like, I was, like, in there. So, like, I didn't call anyone. So I went to court the next morning. There was no one there to, like, bail me out. So I just had to go to Thorold jail for a fucking weekend. And goddamn, that place
whole weekend.
Yeah, sucked.
I've been in the drunk tank twice, but which is, it sucks. But man, a whole weekend.
Going in the Thorold is like, it's wild. You know, you have to like strip down, bend over, fucking they look in your butt, they give you like injections, like, you know.
Oh no, I didn't deal with all that.
Yeah, you get all your fucking jail inoculations, and then then you get sent to the dorms.
That's insane. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I've been in the drunk tank, but never anything like that. I don't want to waste time even getting into this. I don't know if I've ever explained this on the channel. One time I got arrested. I was blackout drunk, and I convinced myself that I needed to get on this GO train. So I somehow pried the locked GO train doors open. It was on a Sunday. So I got onto the train, and then I fell asleep. And then I woke up, and it was like 1 a.m. And I was like, why am I on this GO train? Like, where am I? And I tried to get off, and it's locked, and my phone's dying. So I call my girlfriend at the time, and I'm like, what should I do? And she's like, call the police. So I called the police. They send a GO train like employee to come get me. So I get in this little like golf cart looking thing with him. And then the police come up on me just hot. Like they're like I've called for help, so I don't know what's going on. They're acting really nervous around me. And they're like, oh, can we, you're making us nervous. Can we check your bag? And just without thinking, I was like, yeah, go ahead. And there was weed in there. And this was like a couple months before like it was decriminalized.
Yeah.
So they arrested me and put me in the drunk tank for a night, and then charged me with marijuana possession. And then I had to go all the way from where I was living in Mississauga to Markham for court.
Goddamn.
And I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
Like, which was one of the good decisions I made as an alcoholic, was I never owned a vehicle.
That was the court I had to go to in Toronto, the one up in Markham. Yeah.
Oh, it's so annoying. I called the police on myself.
Goddamn.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like, and I know for sure that I ripped the doors open. From what I understand, from speaking like with someone afterwards, that should not have been possible. like I don't know if it's a false memory I had, but I remember,
or you're very, very strong.
Apparently, some sort of weird blackout rage strength I had, because I distinctly have this memory of being like, they won't let me on the train, and I just pried it open. And then just woke up hours later. So I don't know if I've ever told that, but there's that. Just a couple more questions.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of Boss Pizza. Is any intentions to ever make pizzas again?
I mean, I like making pizzas. I haven't made a pizza
on an official business basis.
The door's not closed, but you know, we'll have to see. The Boss Instagram is deleted. The fucking
why?
I have to assume because I put the words Free Palestine in the bio.
You're kidding. That's insane.
I have to assume. That's like, what else could have gotten to just delete? Like, I got no email about it. I just went to it. Because it's still logged in on my phone. And it's like, I would log into it, pretty often. Because I kept up with like, even though I wasn't operating, it's like, I'd made friends with like certain like other pizza stores doing it. So it's like, I kind of kept up with them. So it's like, if I'm going to Detroit, I'd like message like Freddie the pizza man there. Be like, yo, Freddie, I'm coming to town. I went to go onto the Instagram, and it was just fucking white, and you couldn't do anything. And then like I go to like I went to Google and like looked it up, and it's like the Instagram just comes up as a fucking dead page. And I asked other people, it's like, that's so
bizarre.
Gone. Got no emails, nothing, just gone. The Facebook page still exists.
Oh well, that's interesting. Same company,
I know.
But, different divisions, who knows? But if that's the reason too, that's crazy. I guess you can't know for sure, but I mean, like, what? I can't think of another reason.
I also had queer flags in the bio.
Oh, it's too much. What were you thinking?
So,
that's so dumb.
Yeah, I that's the only thing I can assume, is that some fucking bozo came along the page, was like, because I know like definitely like a few times when I was operating, like I got messages from people like what are those fucking flags about?
Oh, I know.
It's like, what do you fucking think they're about, moron? Like,
yeah, I know. Like, why are you asking me that?
It's like, I don't want you don't have to buy it. Good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could just only assume like someone came across the page and was like, Palestine,
just mass
fucking
report,
report terrorist, report.
That's so stupid.
So yeah,
that's crazy.
Boss page is done.
So what happened with Boss? Did you just kind of run out of time, or it must have been a lot to manage what you were trying to do?
Yes. It was, you know, I had Boss going on the weekends. I had a normal job going through the week. I was just getting fucking burnt out doing both things.
I can imagine.
And it's like, opportunity for Boss had kind of appeared, and it felt like this was going to become the thing. And then it disappeared, and it kind of broke my will a little bit. Because it was just like, it's like, I was so close. Like, I was like, this is going to become my life. And then it didn't happen. It's like, fuck. All right. And and I was just like back to square one. And it's like, okay. And I also just like, I had an employee, like, cause I had 2 employees by the end. It's like one of them was like just leaving to like go away. And it's like, I don't have to retrain someone right now. I'm just kind of zapped of like, you know, my heart's a little broken about it.
Yeah.
So I'm
sorry to hear that. I didn't know I was opening a wound necessarily.
I mean, you're opening a wound. Like I'll talk about it, but yeah, it just like, it was a thing that it was close to being a thing and then it didn't happen. And that sucks. And that's also, I think, maybe kind of why I started the band. I need a project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say too, like that it was really good. You really locked in on there. Like there was some actual passion in that. Like it was like, without trying to kiss your ass at all, I swear it was like the best pizza you could get in the city for a while. It was so awesome.
Thank you. But by the end, I thought it was a really good pizza. Like that was another thing. It's like I just kind of it was a total fake it till I make it thing with Boss. Like I just kind of landed on a recipe that worked early, right off the bat. It's like, okay, fine. But like I didn't know anything about making pizzas. I just pretended I did. But until I like actually hit situations where it's like dough didn't proof right, and I was like, oh, well, I fucked it. You know, when I start having things go wrong, and it's like I have to actually learn this,
right?
And like, you know, by the end of it, it's like I think I was pretty learned on like how and why pizza works. So yeah, I know it pretty well now. So if I were to go back to doing it, I think I could just make a fucking slamming pizza at this point.
That's sick. Yeah. Well, hopefully it would be interesting to see a return. But you seem like a very busy person. So
busy enough.
If you brought it back, I'd buy some pies for sure. Phill would be mad at me if I didn't ask. Do you have any like noticeably cringy or bizarre stories about any time you spent in the band Liferuiner?
Specifically, like cringy or weird? Like I don't know. Like that was like a weird. That was a weird time because like I was the first person that ever ended up in that band who like did not give a fuck about being in that band.
Yeah,
because like it's like. Liferuiner, I want to say like exists in like a different scene than me, but it's like I was in like hardcore music and like punk shit, and it's like Liferuiner was a band that was around. They were like the only band that toured. It's like that's how I ended up in the band. Was like I wanted to go on tour. None of my friends toured. None of my friends were like willing to like take a band seriously enough to tour. So it's like Johnny fucking asked me to like be in that band. Basically begged me to be in that band and like also offered like buy me a drum kit. So like I was like, okay, fine, I'll drum for your band. So like I drummed for their band for a while, did a few tours. Not like by the time I was in the band, I feel like they had already like cycled through like so much shit. Like it was just Johnny, and then like everyone else in the band, like it was no one from the original group at that point.
Oh yeah.
So it was like Johnny, myself, and then a few others. And like I also just like stipulated like. When we went on tours, it's like, okay, I bring my friend as a roadie as well. This is the friend who I did all the spray painting with. Okay. So it's like, it was like I joined that band so I could go into the States and skateboard in places that like I've never skateboarded in, and
Right.
and like fuck around. And like I was doing like the fucking like worst band to like be doing it with, and like I have regret from like having just like done the band, but like the general experiences that I got out of it, I don't, you know, regret.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Like
it's more of a hindsight thing, right?
Yeah, and it's like knowing, you know, more about Johnny now. That I didn't really know about Johnny. You know, he's definitely not a fucking very great dude. But yeah, I don't know. Weirdest fucking story. The weirdest story would have been we were driving around in a fucking that Greg Freeman like circus in the falls. You know that? You know, like the fucking like the tiger like thing. I don't know. We were in this fucking van that like this thing was like we bought this van cash from like someone in the falls, like no insurance, etc. We drove this thing into the States and it had like an air ride suspension. So like, you know, it has these like airbags in the back, which fucking, cause it was like previously like a handicap type bus.
Mm-hmm.
And like we ripped all the seats out of it. But because I had this air ride suspension, we had like all this fucking gear in the back. We kept popping these fucking airbags, but we were like this fucking airbag popped in Pennsylvania, and we were stuck on the side of the road, like freezing. It was like December, snow's coming down. We're on like some rural road, and I remember Johnny taking off all of his clothing and laying on the ground of the bus.
Okay.
And he was eating ravioli.
Okay.
Out of a can with his hands.
Okay.
And anytime I think about being on tour with Liferuiner, that's what I think of. Was like that guy was like fucked up. I don't.
Yeah. No.
Like
clearly.
A very fucked up person. I don't know. I did my time in that band. I have regrets for like having done time with that band. I have regrets about a lot of things, but you know, it's all part of, you know, learning.
To be fair, that story, the ravioli story, makes them sound kind of fun to hang out with. So
like it's one of those things that's like it's like funny and childish, but like inherently at the end of the day, like the guy's just like a fucked up like
no, he's a terrible
very like non-consensual weirdo, just like always getting like fucking naked in front of people.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Like just like, you know, I have no fucking boundaries or respect for shit. And then eventually like I forced him out of his own band. It's like once like, you know, I ended up in this band. Like I didn't give a shit about being in this band. I didn't fucking like it. And Johnny was kind of an idiot. Initially off the hop, it's like he was never an idiot to me.
Okay.
When we were out, like, you know, because you know everyone fucks around on, like, especially when you're younger, going out on tour, everyone like fucks around and plays pranks and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, Johnny never fucked around with me. And then one day he did. He actually peed in my backpack.
That's gross.
Yeah, and from that point on, my friend and I became very mean to him. We turned the entire fucking band against him. We fucking, yeah, he ended up like getting like beat up on stage on that tour.
I think I heard about that. I remember
none of us helped him, and like
so crazy.
And then like very shortly after, like he just went home because like it was just like, oh, this band doesn't like me. And then we flew in another one of my friends to sing in the band. So funny. And yeah, and like this person never like really like they had just sang in a band before. They had never really sang in a band. And we fly them out, and their first show is at this fucking festival in San Bernardino, California, with like 2,800 people. Like we're playing like Born of Osiris and like Winds of Plague. It's like some Sumerian Records festival, like some real industry type thing.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
We just got this fucking guy just I said, oh! we just, you know, I just think it's funny at this point. And then when that fucking eventually that van just broke down again, and we just left it in the States and went home.
Okay.
Like,
how does that work
like,
legally? Like, what happens?
Yeah, the band broke down in New Jersey. Like we got that thing repaired a bunch of times on that tour. We got repaired in Pennsylvania. That was the first time. Then we made it to like California to Long Beach. So like Johnny left the tour once we got to the West Coast. We played in San Jose, and like because Johnny had gotten beaten up in like fucking Illinois, he was like, you know, already feeling really fucking weird. And then he thought he was gonna get beat up in San Jose again, and he knew like none of us were gonna fucking back him because he's an idiot. So he just went home. And it was like,
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. But then like the van, then like 2 days later, just like broke down in Long Beach. And because now it's like, we have no one in the band who gives a shit. We did not rush to like get it repaired. We just hung out in California for like a week.
That's sick.
We just like, we're just fucking staying at someone's house. The van was getting repaired. We were just like, all right, whenever the van gets repaired, we'll get back on the road. It was at some like RV repair place.
Just missed the shows.
We missed a ton of shows. We missed all of like fucking like Arizona, Texas, fucking Louisiana.
Some poor kid. His favorite band is Liferuiner. They're not coming.
Well, poor for them that their favorite band is Liferuiner. So it's like the tour went on, you know, without us. There was like some other I forget what bands were on tour at this point. Tour goes on, makes it to Florida. We drove just cross country from like once the van got fixed in California, like, okay, let's go meet up with the tour. We just drove straight cross country to like Jacksonville, Florida. On the way, we picked up like a hitchhiker who was the tallest person I've seen in my fucking life. Like this guy was no lie over 7 foot tall.
That's insane.
And like
you let this person into a car with you?
Yeah.
I'm not trying,
I was driving. So it's like
they're just dangerous proportions.
I just pull her like, yeah, get in. Everyone's like, no. It's like, no, get in. So this guy just gets in. And like no one noticed how tall he was at first. Because he's just sitting down.
Until he's like trying to situate himself.
And then we got to a rest stop. And like he got out of the van, like the bus thing first. And then went to the bathroom. So like I'm waiting in the bathroom for this guy to come out. And then he opens the door and is like just towering above me, like, oh my God, this guy's like the biggest person ever. And I guess his story was like he had his like all of his stuff stolen from him in New Orleans.
Okay.
And he was like on his way to like the West Coast to like weld or something. So we just like let him in the van, fucking drove with him for like about 8 or 9 hours, and then once we got to Florida, he's just like, "Oh yeah, just let me out under this bridge here." That was it.
Immediately going to work to weld on that bridge.
Yeah. So then we played like a couple more shows after that, and then when we got to New Jersey, we were driving up a fucking hill, and the van was like, "Pah!" And then it just started rolling backwards, and we were like on a hill. We just kind of rolled backwards into like some brush.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, what do we do now? I'm like, none of us give a shit about this. Like, let's just fucking go.
Let's leave. Let's literally leave.
We took like our like personals out of the thing, but it's like, and I took my drums out of like the vehicle. But we fucking like left guitar cabinets in there.
Oh my God.
A full backline of like guitar cabinets, bass cabinets, all the merch was just left in this van in New Jersey. I have no idea what happened with it.
Maybe that's
because it wasn't registered.
That's how the American Liferuiner started. They found the van. They just went from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny. Like, the American Liferuiner
so funny.
Inadvertently started because of this. Because there was a record label guy who had like put all this money into like doing this Liferuiner record. Idiot. And like, why would you take a risk on like this fucking stupid band? The band blows up and like this guy wants to make his money back, so he just hired a bunch of people from California to like be Liferuiner.
That's so awesome. That was so fun. Being alive and watching that unfold in the moment was one of the funniest memories I have of like whatever board we were on at the time when that was going down. It was so funny.
It was crazy. They put out a song and I would love to hear it again.
Oh, the Offie Diddy.
Do you
have the mosh? No, but I remember the mosh call. The mosh call that everyone.
I'm Offie Bandecfolks, but I see the motherfucker, yo.
So funny. It was so bad. God.
Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace, American Liferuiner.
Yeah, wild fucking time. But yeah, it's like I regret having done that band. But like I said, they were the only band that fucking toured, and I was young and fucking stupid and just wanted to go on tour.
No, I mean, I think it makes sense. And again, with Johnny, it's more of like a retrospective thing, right? Like, I think like everyone, like, kind of like just as time went on, started to realize like, oh, like this guy's like probably a demon. Like we should.
Yeah, 100%. If certain things that I've heard about him are true, it's like, yeah, that this guy not good,
not great. Yeah. So, well,
I did my time.
Well, to end it on a slightly lighter note, you brought up pranks before. What would you say is the funniest prank you've ever pulled on tour?
Oh, I don't even know.
Sick.
Yeah, this is one of those moments like we can't remember that Refused album. Like,
yeah,
I remember like a prank I pulled.
The Shape of Punk to Come.
There it is.
It's the Shape of Punk to Come.
Yeah, we got it.
That's the ending. That's what we call full circle.
100%. We did it.
Awesome. Well, honestly, thank you very much. We went for like 2 hours. This was so much fun, actually. Like, this was a great conversation. Is there any final words? Any bands you want to shout out? Anyone you want to shout out before you leave?
I'll shout out that new Sunnyside record is really good.
Hell yeah, we love Sunnyside.
That band's sick.
Yeah, no, they're really great. And God, Andy,
I'm gonna shout that out.
Sweet dude.
Unreal thing is out now. Unreal's cool as well. We're gonna Naysayer show is coming up.
Yeah, I'm camping. I'm camping. So my hope is to leave early enough from Kippawa to come back because I really want to see Bad Beats specifically.
Right on.
And you're playing that show, right?
Yeah. So it's
and I also really want to see you specifically. Sorry.
Yeah. Naysayer.
Yeah, it's a great
King's Command. What are they called? Unmoved, I believe. They're from BC. They're like Unmoved,
yeah.
Yeah, they're like a metalcore band. They're good.
Yeah, we'll throw the flyer on the screen because we'll have this out before then. Flyers on screen. And shout out the Meriton Legion, by the way, for putting on shows.
And then we'll be back there for a headlining thing on September 26th. Yeah.
Nice. Flyer. If it exists, flyer. Flyer.
I'll have a flyer soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. This was super fun.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you. You take care.
Take care. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.